We call this one the leg curl sequence. You're going to wonder why we don't call it the hamstring curl sequence. Well, because it's not a hamstring drill. I don't care about hypertrophy. I care about being able to keep our hips extended in the presence of a knee that's flexing, which is what we're doing here. We're using lower leg perturbations on a nice, stable, neutral hip. When I say neutral hip, a hip that's at zero, which is at what some people will call full extension. What we're doing, though, is between each rep we're setting the bells down so that we have to reestablish our stability, find stability at neutral in the hip, and then generate a perturbation in the lower extremity. What we're doing here up in this version, we've now come up to where we have a little bit more of a natural spine. We can come up onto our hands where we have a hyperlordotic spine, which if that position is painful, we're not going to do that. As you can see there, I kind of chickened out and bailed on it because I didn't like the way that it felt. It was actually kind of hard on my hamstrings, and that's Jeff laughing at me, but this is what you get when you have amateur models. We can then also come up into a flex knee position, keep our hip extension, and maintain all of that in the presence of an upper body perturbation, which is our push-up, which goes back to volume 1. Again, all we're trying to do with all of this is maintain a stable hip in an extended position or in a neutral position. How we do that, there's lots of different ways that we can go through and do that. As we transition now over to Jeff as the model to demonstrate some stuff that I can't do, we've turned the padding slightly different to where now he can load through the upper extremity into the ground and do the same thing, maintain hip extension and generate that knee flexion perturbation. Here when he goes up onto his hands, it's not as extreme position of lordosis in the lumbar spine, so had I done this, probably wouldn't have sucked as much for me, but my bad. Make him look good on camera for once. We can then also take this to where we're now doing several other options, and we can move up into a quadruped position where we're generating some knee flexion as we're moving into a flexed hip position. So now we're moving a little bit away from a hip extension dominant drill, but now we're looking at can we get the hips to be hips and the knees to be knees.